Welcome everyone to Breakthrough Conversations. I am your host, Danielle Perry, and I'm so glad that you decided to tune in today. This is a podcast where I bring people on and I interview them, and they basically share a bit of their story with us, explaining some of the challenges that they faced in their lives and how God helped them to overcome those challenges. So thank you again for tuning in. Today I have Mrs. Nicole Payne. What's up, Nick?
What's up?
It is so good to have you on.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for being a part.
Yes, ma'am. You're welcome.
Thank you. I have you on today to talk about miscarriage. You've shared quite a bit of your story with me, but I want you to share it with our audience because I do believe that it's going to help women out there who have had that same experience.
All right.
So before we delve into that, I want you to introduce yourself and just tell us a bit of who you are.
My name is Nicole Payne. I am 41 years old. I have been a wife for almost 16 years. I am a mom of two. My oldest is 10, almost 11. He's about 10 and a half. And my younger son is 7. I have two boys. I was born and raised in Texas. I was an English teacher, a high school English teacher for 15 years. I was just laughing.
Okay. Continue. I interrupted. Continue.
I am a resigned former English teacher of 15 years, high school level. And now I'm a full-time wife, mom, treneur.
I like that word. Were you expecting to say that just now?
Nope.
Yeah, kind of rolled off. That was clever. Okay. So before we delve into your pregnancies, I want you to tell us a bit about what married life was like in the early stages. Did you guys talk about at what point you wanted to get pregnant? Just tell us a bit about where you guys were early on.
Well, listen, we got married at 26. And yes, we spoke about having children. We both wanted to have children. And, you know, when you're that young and life has not happened to you yet, or hard things in life may have not happened to you, because there are people who hard things happen to way younger. I don't want to discredit that, but, you know, just young and married. And I know for me, having that attitude of we're going to do this and we're not going to do this until this time.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of how I was about children.
Okay.
I never was the one to want a lot of children, but I did want to have children. But I wanted to have children. I wanted to have children.
That's right.
So we did speak about it, and we did not want to have them right away, though.
Okay. So I know that you shared a bit about just how early on you guys just enjoyed just you two. You know what I mean? Like you were good just being married, no children yet. And when it came to babysitting kids, you were like, no, thank you.
Don't ask me to. I just want to be worried about me. You know, I remember when I used to go get my hair done and my stylist had children, and I would bring snacks to eat. And her baby girl would say, "Mom, can I have some of her snacks?" And I'd be like, "Baby, you asked me, and I'm going to tell you no. I brought these snacks for Miss Nikki." You know.
You wouldn't even share your snacks with the kids?
I would, but I wouldn't want to. I don't care how cute you know, that's just how I felt. Like, you're cute, but you're not mine.
Right.
And that sounds really rude, but, you know, that's how I felt.
Yeah.
Then,
right. So at what point did you and Kwesi decide we're now ready to have children?
Well, I just remember quite quickly getting the itch to have a baby. And I recognized that itch once one of my friends started bringing her niece to the church. And I just gravitated to that little baby. She was so cute, and I wanted her with me.
Oh, now you wanted a child.
And this was probably around 4 years after marriage.
Okay, so you're 4 years in. Okay,
4 years in after marriage. So I noticed that, and I don't know where it came from.
Yeah,
don't know where it came from at all. And to the point where when my friend didn't bring her niece, I was upset with my friend for not bringing her niece.
Yeah. So you had the itch.
That itch.
Yeah.
So it came out of nowhere. Felt like.
So you get pregnant.
Right.
Were you guys planning to? Like, do you remember if it happens pretty quickly? Or
I think it did. I think it did fairly quickly.
Okay.
I mean, honestly, I was on birth control. I stopped birth control. I had, I was talking to my doctor and telling her, I think we're ready. And so she said, okay, quit it, nix it, And I really don't feel like it took that long.
Okay. Okay. So you get pregnant. Talk about your emotions when you found out.
Yes, I was happy, excited, grateful, expectant, all those nice things.
Yeah.
No real worry or anything. I looked forward to my belly growing. I looked forward to being able to eat whatever I wanted. And not that I was watching too hard what I was eating in the first place, but just that it was going to be an extra excitement of you get to have whatever you want because you're carrying a child.
Yeah. So you're pregnant and you share the news. Talk to us about that. How did you share the news with people?
I think I really don't remember, what I literally said. I mean, I know that I called parents first and aunts, uncles, things of that nature. And I think just seeing people's reaction close to me was more exciting. Everybody was thrilled. My mom always had a dance every time, always had a dance, always had a song.
Absolutely.
That was just her speed anyway, all through my life. So it didn't change once I told her I was pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been their first grandbaby, pretty much. So absolutely, they were excited.
Absolutely.
So at what point did your pregnancy take a turn?
When I was just 4 months in, I went for my screening, the screening that normally happens between 11 and 15 weeks of pregnancy, where they're looking for any abnormalities.
Okay.
And I went in, had the blood work done or the blood taken, and I don't remember the turnaround time regarding the results, but I was in school teaching, and I got a phone call, which I ended up checking. It was a voicemail. She left a voicemail, and I ended up calling her back. A woman from the office where I got my screening done, and she said there was an abnormality detected. I think she tried to explain to me what it was, which it ended up being what's called Triploidy Syndrome.
Okay.
And that is where the baby has a whole extra set of chromosomes. So we have 23. Two sets of 23. So we have 46.
Okay.
Right? But the baby had 69.
Wow.
Yes. So the baby had 69 chromosomes, and that syndrome is not compatible with living, with life. So she was trying to tell me that this is not going to end. You're not going to make it pretty much to full-term pregnancy. And so she was she was asking me if I wanted to come in and get counseling, because that's what they urge pregnant mothers to do who have this result of the Triploidy Syndrome. And so she asked me if I wanted to come in for counseling, just to cope with, grapple with, accept what was to be.
Yeah.
And I said, no, thank you.
Okay. So why'd you say no thank you?
Just because, this is my first baby. I didn't expect anything to go wrong. I was faithful or expectant that things were going to be fine. I'm a believer. This is a great time in my husband's and my life.
Yeah.
And, this is just, it's a faith test, and we're going to see it through.
Okay. Now, was your husband feeling the same way?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys were just, of course, walking in faith, hoping and believing that this baby will make it full term, despite, what the doctors told you.
Right.
So at what point did you make the decision that this baby isn't going to be full term?
Child, when I went to the bathroom at some, I can't remember how much time had passed, but I was at school again, and I ended up going to the bathroom, and I was spotting, and I said, oh, that's not good. But rewinding a bit to that morning, I sat down to eat my breakfast, which had become normally 4 eggs at a time, because I was pregnant, and I was happy that I could eat 4 eggs at a time, because I'd never been able to do that. And when I couldn't get through my plate because I wasn't hungry anymore, I thought something's wrong.
Yeah.
But I just brushed it off. I went to school, and then later on, when I went to the bathroom and I was spotting, I called my doctor. I let Kwesi know I was going to the hospital because my doctor told me to get to the hospital quickly. So I drove myself there, and they did a sonogram to detect the heartbeat of the baby, and they couldn't find it. There were two women there who were trying to find the sonogram. Find the heartbeat. They couldn't, but they were trying to assure me that they weren't that good at detecting, a fetal heartbeat or doing a sonogram. So they went and found somebody who could do it well, and that person couldn't detect the heartbeat. So then they called my doctor on the phone. I talked to him. He said, "I'm so sorry, Nicole, they can't find the heartbeat. We're going to schedule a DNC, which is a procedure that they do when they go in and to remove the dead fetus."
Okay. So how were you feeling in that moment?
I was feeling heartbroken, shocked, disappointed. I don't think anger had set in yet because it was those primary responses that I was having first emotionally of shock, disappointment, sadness, fear, feeling alone.
Yeah. So you told, or you shared with me that you had shared the news with family and with friends already.
Right.
So how were, their reactions? You can share maybe your parents' reactions and maybe some of your close friends at the time.
Oh, just heartbroken. I remember being on the phone with my dad, and he, when he's very hurt or something is very sad, a lot of times he says, "I just don't know what to say." So I could hear it, though. I could feel their sadness on the other end of the phone. I remember talking to I don't even think my mother could talk to me because she was so hurt. My stepdad was on the phone. I was talking to him, and she was sitting next to him. Because I just think it really hurt her, if I'm remembering correctly. And I just heard the same, hurt in my stepdad's voice that I heard in my dad's voice when I told them. And even I was talking to friends on the phone, and I was telling them, and it was the same consistent sadness for us and heartbreak for us.
Absolutely. I remember you sent out a mass text to friends, and you basically shared that, I believe in that text you shared that you had miscarried. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that you and Kwesi, you didn't want any company,
right,
or any, phone calls or anything at the time because you were in the process of it all,
right,
and you kind of just needed space.
Yes.
So talk to us about that.
Yes, I do remember us saying that we didn't charge God foolishly, which is the church way of saying we're not going to blame God because this bad thing has happened to us and we lost our child. At the same time, I was letting everybody know that we weren't okay, but we were okay. Meaning that we weren't at a point where we were going to completely fall apart. And that somebody needed to come in urgently and help us. We weren't at that point, but we still needed space to cope and process just as a married couple first.
Yeah.
And not wanting a lot of extra people involved in that at that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remember, now that I'm thinking about it even more, I remember reading that text and thinking, like, my heart kind of sunk because it's that whole thing of seeing you with a belly, with a baby growing inside of you, and knowing that the next time I see you, it won't be the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And my stomach had just, as being a first-time mom, I was always doing this. Is it? And then looking at the side to see how far it was coming out, because I was excited about that.
Yeah.
And it had just started to do a little something, just a little something. And I do remember when I came back to church after however long I just kind of stayed at home, just away from people. And I came back to church, and I remember our homegirl, Natyra, she said that, "Wow, Nick," she said, and this wasn't that actual day when I first came back to church, but maybe a few days after I came back to church, she said, "Man, Nick, the first time I saw you, she said, I thought you just looked really good, like fresh, good." And it was kind of like, maybe I misinterpreted, but she was just saying, you looked okay. You looked, you pulled it together, And then one of my other friends, Monique, which was so refreshing when I came back to church after the miscarriage and everybody knew, she saw me in the lobby and she said, "Can I just say, I don't know what to say to you?" And I said, that is so awesome because you didn't try to fake like you knew what to say.
Absolutely.
You didn't try to fish for words just to say you were saying something. I thought that was the neatest thing. And that was one of the things from somebody who spoke to me. That was one of the things I appreciated the most.
Yeah.
Was her authenticity.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. When you said it just now, I was like,
yeah, she's like, "Can I just say I don't know what to say?" I was like, yes, you can. Yes, you can. Sure, you can.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So you and your husband, did you go back on birth control or did you say, let's try again? Do you remember?
Oh, I did not go back on birth control.
Okay.
And I remember speaking to my childhood best friend, Tiffany from Texas, and she was asking me, she said, "So, what are you guys up to now? What are you thinking? What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to try again." And she said, all right, cool. And I think I said the same thing to my mom. So yeah, we did. We didn't go back on birth control.
So do you remember how much longer after your miscarriage did you become pregnant again?
About 4 to 5 months.
4 to 5 months. Okay. So 4 to 5 months, you become pregnant again. Were there any fears of miscarrying?
Oh, totes. Yes. Absolutely. But being grateful at the same time that I was pregnant again.
Yeah.
And trying not to allow the fear to overshadow the second pregnancy.
Yeah. And with your 4-month mark, or at your 4-month mark, how did you feel?
I felt relieved. It was we made it. And the screening didn't come, this screening for this pregnancy didn't come back abnormal. It came back fine, which I want to say about the Triploidy Syndrome for the first baby, that only happens statistically to between 1% and 3% of pregnant women. So it was a complete,
Wow.
And even knowing some of the birth defects that come with babies who might make it all the way through, which if they do, it's said that they don't live long after hours of birth.
Oh wow.
I believe there's a one who made it to like 10 and a half months after being born with full Triploidy Syndrome. So it's not like I said, it's not compatible with life. And some of the birth defects are facial deformities and renal problems and fingers and toes are sometimes united and a lot of issues, And so just going back and looking at that information and thinking about what if, just to see that information and some of the images of the fetuses with Triploidy Syndrome was very hard.
Yeah.
And it made me think like, wow, Lord, if that baby had made it, what would our lives have been like?
Absolutely. Yeah. So your second pregnancy goes full term.
Yes.
And you deliver your son, Asa. Tell us about your emotions at that point.
Happy, just thrilled, overjoyed, not even expecting when I heard his cry, which in our church, among our congregation, he's known as a fire engine crier. But when I heard that little cry, I just could not control the tears that just came with hearing my son, my child, my baby cry for the first time. So it was very exciting, just thinking about packing the baby bag. And you know me, so I was ready. I was not waiting to the last minute. That bag was packed. You understand? That baby room was done. Okay, the clothes and everything he was going to wear home, that was together. The car seat had been strapped in the car effectively. Yeah, and it was an exciting time.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. I remember Kwesi being so excited at church one Sunday, just showing everyone Asa's picture, his newborn picture. And Asa was off the break. Did I say that right? Off the break, off the jump.
Yeah.
Asa was a cute baby. Even like, cause every newborn, all newborns ain't cute. But Asa was cute. And he was big. Yeah. Like he was long. I was like, Kwesi, He's a big baby.
I know. And I mean, you look at Kwesi and me now, you look at where we come from. I mean, my mom and my dad are short, and his parents are not tall. And, but Asa comes from a line of big babies. I was 8.9 ounces. My brother was 10 and something.
Yo.
I'm sorry. I was 8 pounds and 9 ounces. My brother was 10 pounds and something. Asa was 7 pounds and 12.2 ounces. And, yeah.
Yo, that's crazy.
Yeah.
To know that Asa is on the smaller
end of the, yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. Oh, and Kwesi. Kwesi was a chubby little boy.
Oh, he was?
Yes, you wouldn't believe it. But I finally saw a picture of him when he was like a little boy, somewhere maybe around 4 or 5. He was a chunky little thing.
I love it. Cool stuff. So you have Asa. You're now a mom. Kwesi's now a dad. At what point... Why are you laughing?
Because I'm just thinking about one of our church members when we got pregnant with Asa. She said, Kwesi, gonna be somebody's father?
Does Kwesi know about that?
She said it to him in front of him.
I could just see Kwesi like, who said that? That's funny. Yeah, he's a great father. He absolutely is. So you're a mom, Kwesi's a dad. At what point did you decide, let's try again?
Okay. I don't remember. I mean, the boys are 3.5 years apart. So I did want some space in there. I marvel at and respect greatly those women who have what they call them, stair-step children. Much respect. Much respect. I was hopeful that Asa would be up and along far enough to where he wouldn't be too far ahead of his brother in age, but that he was independent enough. Yeah. Right? Yeah. I wouldn't have two babies pulling on me at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. So 3.5 years later.
Yes.
After Asa's born, you are pregnant with Asaiah.
Yes.
Were there any fears again of miscarrying?
They were less intense.
Okay.
Because we had a successful birth, full-term pregnancy, healthy baby. That's why I think that the fears were less intense.
Okay. And even at the 4-month mark?
Right. Yeah, I didn't sweat it as much.
Okay. So Asaiah is full term.
Right.
And he's born. Again, a cute baby.
I was grateful. One time we were hanging with friends, and I just said, babe, I said, I'm not trying to like say anything about us, but I'm just blown away that we really do have cute kids. Yeah. And it's not because I'm their mom. I think if I was not their mom, I would still think they were super cute.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
They were both very cute. Absolutely. And I think Asaiah, was he big too? I can't remember.
Yeah, Tank was big too.
He was big too.
We called him Tank. So I think he was 7 pounds as well.
He was 7 pounds.
Yes.
Yeah. So you're now a mom of 2 boys. Talk to us about just how that is for you.
Now, how it is for me now? Or how it was for me then?
How it was for you then. Yeah.
Okay. It was exciting. I was excited more so because Asa was getting a sibling. Yeah. Somebody that he could hang with, somebody, he could love on and would love him back. And just to see them as siblings, but to see them as individuals, see how they looked different. Yeah. Those types of things.
Yeah, that's cool. I remember you were saying how there was this moment where you just had to throw your hands up.
Yes.
And just praise God.
I
worship
did.
God.
Yes.
So what was that?
Because sleep patterns. Okay. I could be a very grumpy person when I'm tired. And with newborns comes sleep training and a change in schedule and everything. I mean, when you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're tired and you're thinking, I just want to go to sleep. But this baby won't go to sleep. Or this baby keeps waking up. So there was that with one child. And then with 2 children, it was now we're trying to find similarities within the sleep schedules. Asa obviously was sleeping through the night at 3.5 years old, and he was still taking a nap in the middle of the day. And when the first time when they both took a nap at the same time in the middle of the day. And as a mom, I had to decide if I was going to sleep with them or if I was going to do something that needed to get done around the house or whatever. There's always that decision to make. I chose to sleep when they slept, and I remember sitting in my family room, lying down on the couch, and as I went back, I threw my hands up and I was worshiping, and I went into tongues, because there's just this, it was this sweet environment where I felt God's presence. I mean, it was, ooh, yes, heavenly.
They were asleep at the same
time. The house was quiet.
It was quiet.
You know, and it was just over the whole house, like the house was breathing. Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm just thinking about Asaiah, and when he was a baby, his hair.
Yeah. Oh, that
he
hair.
He had the braids, and I think the braids would come down on the side sometimes, if I remember correctly. And I remember this one Sunday in particular, he must have worn like some khakis, and he had on like a plaid shirt, and he had his braids.
I think that's Asa you're talking about.
No, this is Asaiah, because you about to keep listening.
Okay.
He had the braids. He fell over. And his pants started to come down on the backside.
Okay.
That was Asaiah.
Yeah, he fell.
And I saw nothing but glistening skin.
It was shiny though. It was moisturized, wasn't it? Yes, it was moisturized. Their pediatrician used to praise me for that, because she was basically saying, and I'm saying it in my own words, she was basically saying these parents bring their dry, ashy children up in here, saying that they moisturize them well. But she knew they were lying, because their kids was ashy. And she said, but your children are always well moisturized. And sure enough, he fell and showed that behind, and it was still moisturized.
That behind was so moisturized. And he had no clue what we were laughing at. But we were cracking up. And it was like his pants kept sliding down more and more. It was hilarious.
Yeah, some of those baby clothes, they're for looks. Sometimes they don't stay up right.
It was so funny. I love it. Every time I think about it, I crack up.
Didn't he say, I'm okay? Did he say that?
I don't know. He may have.
I think so.
Okay, so another thing that I'm just thinking on, because you have so many funny stories. Share with us the chicken wing story, please.
Yes, okay, chicken wings.
And this is with Asa.
This is with Asa. I don't remember what my thing was as far as food with Asaiah was. Maybe I didn't have it. But with Asa, it was buffalo wings. Buffalo wings, where we would buy that big value pack of Tyson buffalo wings from the BJ's. And I just couldn't get enough of them. Yeah. So, and I love the ones from... I love the ones that Kwesi would bring me from a particular fast food place. And one night, I got the craving. It was after 9, had to be. He ran out and came back with barbecue wings. And my pregnant hormones couldn't take it. I did not want him to feel bad, because he went out there. He was my Uber Eats before there was Uber Eats. Went out there and got him late at night, came back. I left him in the bedroom and went down to the kitchen so I could cry by myself and not let him know that I was crying. But he knew when I went back upstairs. I tried not to be gone too long so he wouldn't think something was wrong. I went back upstairs. He said, what's wrong? I said, these are barbecue, and I really would like to have buffalo, please. So he took in a deep breath and let it out, and grabbed them keys and went right on back to the plate. Switch him out. He said that somewhere between the handoff from him, the car to the food place, outside of the drive up, that they missed it. They dropped it, and it hit the ground between the car and the building. And he said that somebody on the inside was fussing at the person who missed the grab, and they were fussing. And he said, I probably made somebody lose his job that night. But he came home with the buffalo wings.
He came home with the buffalo wings.
They were nice and hot. Yeah. Yes.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So, fast forwarding a bit. Asa is, I want to say 8. Okay. Let me not try to say their ages. You can tell me.
I think it is 8 and 5.5.
Okay, 8 and 5.5. And you're pregnant again.
Yes.
Now, was this pregnancy planned?
Now, it was we weren't necessarily trying and hoping,
Okay.
but we weren't using anything to stop it.
Right. Right.
So there you have it.
Okay. So if it happens, it happens.
Right.
Okay. So you are pregnant and things began to take a turn again.
Right.
Now, did you initially notice anything wrong?
Nothing at all.
So what was the indication that something may have been wrong?
In the grocery store, and I went to the bathroom and I was spotting.
So what were you thinking in that moment?
Like, what the world? That's what I was thinking.
And did you call your doctor
I did.
right then?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
And what was that conversation?
He told me to come in, have sonogram done.
So you had the sonogram done, and what did they find?
And the woman who did it, she tried for a while. When it was going as long as it did, I started to be concerned. And finally, and this one was different from the first miscarriage, because first miscarriage, I was in a room where there were no TV screens and there was no projection of the sonogram. But I feel like this one, and this is years later, because so maybe an advancement in technology, whatever. But I was in a room where there was a screen in front of me, and I don't know if I could see what she was doing. I could see the sonogram projected on the screen in front of me while she was feeling around for the heartbeat. But I do know before I left, I could see the picture. And basically she couldn't detect the heartbeat. And when she, finally let me know, she said, "I'm so sorry." Such a soft-spoken voice. And she said, "I can't detect a heartbeat." And she said, there's nothing that you did. They always want to reassure you that there's nothing that you did or didn't do that caused this. And I was maybe about 10 or 11 weeks, and the baby was measuring a week younger. So if I was 10 or 11, the baby was measuring at 9.
Yeah.
Which means a stop in growth and development. And that was that.
So what were you feeling?
I was feeling let down and aggravated. I think more so aggravated this time.
Why is that?
Because I'm the type of person who's very logical. So if we're starting at A, we're going to B. We're getting to C. We're getting to D, and we're just bringing it on home. Like this process, we need to bring it full circle.
Yeah.
And the fact that I had become pregnant again, started getting excited. Kwesi and I were both excited. We were grateful. And, my body really hadn't started going through too much change. I felt like I had an increased appetite, but me and food. But just that I had started a process that was halted.
Yeah.
And I don't like that.
And how far along were you?
10 or 11 weeks.
10 or 11 weeks. And as far as sharing news, did you do that with this pregnancy with anyone?
No, I did not share news early after the first miscarriage.
Okay.
So I waited. I remember with Asaiah, and when I reached the mark where I could not hide it anymore, I remember our pastor, Pastor Lawrence, saw me at church one time and said, "Well, it's out there now, ain't it?" And so we started waiting until we were clear of the first trimester before telling people right after that first pregnancy.
Yeah. So again, no one knew about this fourth pregnancy.
Right. Well, actually, I think I had just told my parents.
Okay.
They were, the early birds. I'm talking about people after them, friends and extended family and such. But they were, and I had literally just told my parents. And we were thinking of getting ready to tell the boys.
Okay.
About the fourth pregnancy.
Gotcha. Yeah. So how was Kwesi doing with everything?
Kwesi is really cool through many difficult situations. This when I told him after that, I don't remember him being flabbergasted or he kind of took it in stride.
Yeah. I remember when you dropped the boys off at our house for the night of you going in to see the doctor. Explain what that procedure was again.
Well, I had once a woman let me know she couldn't detect the heartbeat. I got on the phone with my doctor, and we scheduled a DNC, another DNC, which I did not make. Again, my body went through the process of giving birth. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It was too early.
Yeah.
Of that baby to that baby, and so the night that I dropped them here, the DNC was probably 2 days away. I was miscarrying, so I had to bring them here because I had to go to the emergency room.
Yeah. I just remember I didn't know what to expect as far as how you would be or how you would look, like your countenance or anything.
Right, you didn't know if I was gonna be. You'll open the door to a person in a fetal position on the ground.
I mean, or just sadness, you know?
Right.
Like I wasn't sure. And when I saw you, you were just very calm. You were very kind of just at ease, relaxed even. And I think I sensed the same thing from Kwesi. And so I guess I admired that about you guys because I don't know what it's like, you know, to miscarry, and this is now the second one.
Right.
And so just to see how you both were kind of just, you know, going through the process, and I didn't see any emotions that were just kind of up and down. I just admired that. So yeah, that's just something that stands out for me. So you said that you didn't share the news with the boys.
Right.
Initially.
Right.
So at what point did you share it with them?
Months later, because that night all they knew was they were coming over to spend the night with Uncle Jared and Aunt Danny. You know, even though they had school the next day, I'm sure they were just excited to. And I was just trying to find a way to package it, that night, so that I did not have to tell them what was going on. At the same time, not lie to them.
Yeah.
And so it was not until several months later that we told them, and I don't even know how we entered into that conversation or wound up there. Right.
And what was their reaction?
They started putting pieces together, thinking, oh, okay, so that's why we slept there the whole night. And then the next day, you guys came to pick us up to go to school. Now questions came. Now, did you spend the night in the hospital? Were you sick? Were you hurt?
Yeah.
You know, things like that. What was the baby going to be?
Yeah, all those questions, absolutely. Did you ever, I just literally thought about this, and I don't know if I've ever asked you this. Did you ever question God? Did you ever ask God about just why?
Oh, I'm sure. I do. I definitely remember with the first pregnancy, there was after that miscarriage, there was a lot of journaling that I did when I felt like I could not verbally articulate what I was feeling and what I wanted to say. I always do that. I always write.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of journaling that I did there, and I know that there was a lot of anger that I had and a lot of impatience and frustration around that. And yeah, I asked God why. I asked God what was the point of it? What was the purpose of it? Just why. And with the fourth pregnancy or second miscarriage, I can't remember if I asked him why. I think it was more of, okay, Lord, help me to learn what it is I'm supposed to learn here. Help me to not be bitter. Help me to not be go through this improperly. Help me to go through it with grace, really. That was more so my prayer this second time.
Did you know anybody that miscarried the first time that you had a miscarriage?
Probably.
I'm just asking because I'm wondering, like, did you have anybody that you could talk to who had actually endured through the same thing?
No, I don't remember having anybody that I could talk to. I do know that after I had the first miscarriage, there was a friend that experienced a miscarriage of her own.
Okay.
And so I knew what she was experiencing, having gone through it myself before.
I know me, I'm just thinking about how I'm I just research a lot, right? Like I'm always on Google, and I know everything on Google isn't reliable.
Right.
But I'm just imagining if I were in your shoes, I would probably, a part of me would be like, no, don't research, don't look at nothing, right? But then the other part of me would be like, well, what are my chances of miscarrying again? You know what I mean? What would my chances be?
Yes.
So I just imagine myself kind of like, you know,
Yes.
it's like, don't put yourself there, but then a part of you wants to really see what the statistics say, right?
Oh, yes.
So did you find yourself at all kind of like doing any of that?
Listen, girl, I know myself, and I have to stay away from Google.
Yeah.
When it comes to that.
Yeah.
I will run my mind ragged. And so I know when it comes to medical things, physical things, I have to stay away from Google. If I go on there at all, it's not a lot at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
That's good. That's good self-control.
Yes, I think I'd rather, talk to my doctors because they know my case.
Absolutely.
So what good is it doing me to Google broadly this situation and not specifically pertaining to my case? So I stick with the doctors and prayer.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, I just think that, when we're in moments of just heightened anxiety or stress, it's like you just want to find a solution.
Right.
You want to find people that can relate to you.
Yes, yes.
You just you need some type of
something to bring you peace.
Something.
Settle you.
Something to settle you. And sometimes we go to the wrong places to find it,
Yeah.
So thinking about the fact that you have or were pregnant 4 times.
Right.
Right.
It's crazy. It sounds crazy to me still today.
Yeah. You were pregnant 4 times.
Right.
I just think it's amazing. Like when I think of people that I know who have miscarried, and I think I've heard one person in particular say, yeah, I have X amount of babies in heaven right now that just aren't here in the natural, or here on earth. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So I just think it's really like, it's just like, wow, when you think about it that way,
Yes, the number 4 jars me all the time when I think about it. Because I really don't think of it as 4 times being pregnant. I always just think of, okay, I've had 2 miscarriages, but I also have 2 that made it. So yes, I have been pregnant 4 times. And I have spent time asking God, what about those babies? I haven't spent a lot of time asking where are they and things of that nature. I don't know why. That does not grab my attention so hard, but I do just wonder, what the fetus may have experienced in that whole process.
Another thing, questions are just coming as we're speaking. Do you have any women in your family that have experienced miscarriage as well?
I know my mom hasn't. Aunts that I've talked to about pregnancy and things like that have not. But, I'm sure there's somebody. I'm sure there's a woman, maybe an aunt that I have not spoken to about birth and pregnancy and all of those things. I do know my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. Well, actually, she birthed a daughter, but she didn't make it long, and I don't really know what was behind that, but I haven't had a whole lot of close conversations about miscarriages with other women in my family, so I don't know of any of them that have had miscarriages.
I know some women who it's generational. You know what I mean? It's generational, and I do believe at that point there's a lot of prayer that needs to take place, and for God to break that curse. You know what I mean?
Okay.
When it is generational, and some women I don't think are aware of that.
Probably not.
I don't think they're aware of that, but God is a curse breaker.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
He's a
For
curse
sure.
breaker. As a matter of fact, there was an altar call at church one day where I don't think it was a curse it was a curse that was broken, but it wasn't generational.
Okay.
But I remember there were a lot of women who weren't able to conceive, and our pastor prayed. Am I remembering this correctly?
I think you are. Yeah, this was after I had my first miscarriage, I think. And he called women to the altar who wanted to be pregnant. I do remember that. Yep. I know I went.
Yeah. And like everybody.
And then there were at least 8 or 9 of us after that who became pregnant, because all of our kids, all of our 10-year-olds, 10, 11-year-olds we got a lot of those.
Yeah.
At one point the church birthed.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and we would have hangouts.
Yeah.
Because we were all pregnant, and we all had the babies, and we were all having these hangouts. I remember taking a picture when we were at one hangout at one of our houses, and literally we lined all the babies up in their car seats.
Wow.
and just took a picture.
Wow.
Yep, there were like 8 or 9 of us.
Yeah. Yeah. I just wanted to emphasize how sometimes it's spiritual. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's spiritual, and God has to come in and do what he does, and boom.
Listen, because the devil does not want life under the care of God, because God is the giver of life.
That's right.
And the devil opposes everything about God.
That's right.
So he wants to kill us. That's what he's here. That's what he wants to do. And that was just like a spit in his face.
Yes.
8, 9 of us.
That's right.
Out there booming like that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we're wrapping up, but I do want to ask, are there any plans to have any more children?
No plans. We're not planning to have any more children. And of course, as I just spoke, God is the giver of life, and he can do what he wants to do. He can cause what he wants to cause. And, but we're not necessarily wanting, I know I'm not necessarily wanting another child. And Kwesi has not spoken that, so I would assume that he does not necessarily want, but neither of us would be upset if we were pregnant again.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, I would like for you to share any advice, any encouragement that you may have for women who have miscarried. Just talk from your heart.
Yeah. Well, to women who have miscarried, or even women who can't get pregnant or have not gotten pregnant yet. As I said about my journey, prayer has been the consistent pulse of everything. And, if you're not a believer, you should be. And I don't say that haughtily. I don't say that with an air of arrogance, but we all need a savior. And Jesus is that savior. God is the Father. God is the creator of everybody. And so if you're a woman who wants to be pregnant or has miscarried, God is the giver of life, and he is the answerer of all questions. So get to know him. And if you do know him, talk to him and let him talk to you, and just surrender your heart and your emotions and your concerns and everything. Surrender all of that to him, because who better to do that with, the knower of everything, than God.
That's right.
And to people who want to know how to respond to women who have had miscarriages, whether recent or far previously, way back in the day or what have you, because I'm able to sit up here and talk about this now. My last miscarriage was in 2020, and now it's 2022, and I'm able to sit here and talk about it because the Lord has processed me through it.
Yeah.
And he's been walking me through life, and he has walked me through that. And I'm just grateful to be able to sit up here and talk about all of these things. But if you're a person who is, wanting to know how to console or comfort a woman who's had a miscarriage, I would say be Holy Spirit led if you have the Holy Spirit dwelling inside of you. If you don't, then let your words be few. and just to be there for them. You know, you can say, I'm very sorry. I'm so sorry that this happened to you, if that is how you feel. You know, don't go in faking it.
Yeah.
You know, like my friend Monique said, can I just say I don't know what to say to you? You know, be authentic and just let your words be few. Better to not say a lot than say too much. And you know, if just be there for them, you know, let them guide the conversation. If they want to talk, listen. You know, if they want to bring up stuff, and then you feel like there's a question you could ask, if you're sensing that they want to be open, then fine. But let your words be few keeps ringing in my mind, unless you're being Holy Spirit led.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Well, thank you.
You're
Nick,
welcome
for being a part of this podcast, and again sharing your story authentically. I know that this is a sensitive topic, and so for you to, you know, just come on and share publicly about some of your challenges with miscarriages, I do appreciate it. And I do believe that it's going to bless and encourage other women out there.
Oh,
so
good.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So thank you everyone for tuning in. I pray that you don't lose hope if you are a woman who has miscarried, or like Nick said, maybe you aren't able to conceive. The Bible says hope deferred makes the heart sick. So don't lose your hope. Remain in hope. I can speak from an authentic place that I know what it's like, as far as waiting on God to have children. So don't lose your hope. Remain in trust. Remain in faith. And know that God's plan is perfect. It may not be your plan and what you thought would happen, but His plan is perfect. So trust in His perfect plan. Know that He loves you. Know that He cares. And know that He is the best comforter that you'll ever need. So thank you again for tuning in today. I hope that you were blessed. If there's anything from this episode that stood out, go ahead and put it in the comment section. Hit like, hit share, subscribe. Thank you again for joining us on Breakthrough Conversations. Be blessed.